Zone 15 Productions presents Stop the Violence documentary.
Stop the violence! Stop the violence! Stop the shoot! Stop the shoot! Stop the shoot! Stop the shoot! Put the guns down! Put the guns down! Put the guns down! Put the guns down! Stop the violence! Stop the violence! Stop the violence! Stop the violence! Stop the shoot! Stop the shoot! Stop the shoot!
What's car?
Stop the shoot! Put the guns down! Put the guns down! Put the guns down! Put the guns down! Stop the violence! Stop the violence! Stop the violence! Stop the violence! Stop the shoot! Stop the shoot! Stop the shoot! Stop the shoot! Put the guns down! Put the guns down! Put the guns down!
My name is John McFadden. Born in Bronx, New York, currently living in Cincinnati, Ohio. Today I'm here to talk about my son, Jawan Marquise Carr, born July 19th, 1991, murdered September 9th, 2011, at the age of 20. The day my son was murdered was actually the day he was going back home to Charlotte, North Carolina, where he was currently residing. He had got here basically just to see familiar faces, people he hadn't seen since elementary school, and was subsequently murdered. At this time, there has not been an arrest made, and I honestly don't know if they have legitimate suspects that my son was shot multiple times in the back. But I do know that a void has been created in my life, the life of his 3 sisters on my side, the life of his 1 sister and 1 brother on his mother's side, his 4 nieces. My family is devastated, as his mother's family. The natural order of life has been disrupted, not due to an illness, not due to a car accident, not due to anything other than murder. So, on September 9th, 2011, after hanging up the phone with my son to tell him I was on my way to calling back to find out that he had been shot and was bleeding out in the streets of Cincinnati for no apparent reason, to IDing my son's body, kissing his forehead for the last time, wiping lint from his head. Fast forward to today, after the funeral, after the time off from work, After the phone calls from family and friends aren't as frequent and don't last as long, fast forward to today, and still not having my son. The doctor telling you that his heart and breathing stopped on the streets, and the EMS did a magnificent job, but they weren't able to revive him. And then to go on to say, when he got here, we tried, but we're still unable to revive him. So we regret to tell you your son is dead. I don't know what to say. "85% of the day, I don't know what to do. The only thing that's certain is he is not here and I am. So with that, I will do everything I can to inform, educate, and support fathers like me, mothers who are in my shoes, sisters and brothers who have to see their siblings in the casket. To accept anything outside of justice would not only dishonor my son, but also dishonor and disrespect other young men and women like my son. Have we, as a society, as a community, whether it's OTR, Zone 15, Brick City, Winton Terrace, have we come to a state of barbarism to where heinous acts, such as the one that took my son's life, become the norm? When justice comes back to you, will your family mourn as I do? The perpetrators of this crime, or even someone who's watching this that may have taken a life, you will never be as free as your victim. You will never have peace like your victim. Nor will your conscience allow you to enjoy life like your victim.
Hi, my name is Greg Feely. I'm a lieutenant with the Cincinnati Fire Department, paramedic. And what we see, we pretty much the first ones on the scene. When the shots are fired, they call us. You know, it's 911. We get there, we respond first.
So when that call comes in, I'm responding, and I'm trying to do any and everything I can do to try to get his brother another chance.
I'd rather keep my identity concealed. My son was charged with double murder. It happened in March of '09. He was just sentenced. He was just found guilty February of this year, 2011. He received 2 consecutive life sentences. He came from a loving home. I mean, it was a single parent home. Just like an ordinary kid, AB student, athletic. Nothing that really would have thought that it would have led to this. Just thought just an average kid. I mean, with just a little attitude, but other than that, he had went through the juvenile system, you know, runaways, couple drug possessions, couple weapons. But in that time of going through the court system, there was no help for him. They was telling me, you know, there's nothing that we can do. You know, I will go file runaway charges. There's nothing that we can do. There's nothing that, until he gets in trouble, you know, there's nothing that they could do. So it had to come to a point where it got too bad that, you know, really, it wasn't really a call that I got. I know that it had happened. And at that time, I think he may have been driving or something, that he was in 2020, and it kind of like came out when he got out. He really didn't say, but he said he would think he may be in some trouble, or, you know, but he really didn't say. And right before, the Evendale detectives always wanted me to come over there and talk to them. So right before he got ready to graduate in May of '09, that's when they came to my house and served the warrant for the murder. I really didn't know what happened because he really didn't talk to me about things that happened out on the streets. He never brought that home. You know, he would always stay somewhere else. He would never, I guess maybe due to me and his other brothers, he never brought any of that stuff home. It has really affected my 15-year-old a lot. It gets him down, stressed, and, you know, not really having anybody to talk to about it and what he's going through. Even though he may not have been home a lot, but he still checked in on his brothers. And even still now he's away, he still stays on his brothers to do the right thing, to not make the decisions that he has made, to be a better person. My mother's having a hard time dealing with it because when I had Eric, I was young. You know, I was 18, you know, and I lived with my mother. So growing up, Eric was mostly, I had him, but it was really like her child. It's just been something that to go through this, it's just like you see it on TV all the time, but you never imagine it going through it yourself. I mean, you sit and watch the trials on TV, you do all that, but to actually be there and to be a part of it, it's, you know, it's been a rocky road, you know. Me personally, you know, mood swings, and some days there's good days, some days there's bad, that I just, you know, don't want to get up, don't, you know, just be down and out. I could only imagine what they're going through, because I know the pain that I'm going through, even though I still have my son and they don't have theirs.
My name is Mazan Anderson. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. And after I got the call, and they told me, that my son had been killed, I never got an opportunity to talk to him. So when I got that call on that Monday night about 9:15 p.m., where the phone started ringing so much, and I kind of got scared to answer it. Yeah, but I really don't know. It is a force that's moving me, even when I don't want to move. I'm telling you, and I don't even know how. I just, it's just like, I feel like if I lay down, I won't ever get back up. Now, there was a point early on when he died that I died too. I have died. I just think I think now that I'm being reborn. No, it was family and friends that were the first people to call me, and I just thought they were lying, like, you lying, and I threw the phone down, and then my sister Stevie was like, she coming to get me. So I'm sitting here waiting on my sister to come and get me, but I really don't want to wait on her. I just want to run, and I'm mad I ain't got no car or bootleg, ain't no, none. You know what I mean? I just need to get there. And when she came, and I got in her car, and she was like, still giving me information, which I was really trying to tune her out, because I don't like to hear secondhand information. I don't. And so we got to Evanston as we were coming up Gilbert, and I saw Channel 5 news truck there, and I was like, and I just wanted to get out of her car, and she was holding me, and I didn't want to be held by her. And when I saw my ex-husband, and I just kind of like attacked him, you know what I mean? And I looked down there and I saw my son laying on the ground, but I still didn't really think that he was, I heard that he had been shot. But, there was still some hope in me, like, if I could just get down there, y'all don't know, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling them, you don't know, get off of me, don't touch me, you know what I mean? I'm his mother. There's that hope that all he need to do is see me, you know what I mean? All he need to do is see me. And when I got down there, the police, they won't let you, and everybody grabbing on you. And people really shouldn't do that, you know what I mean? People just got to feel what they got to feel, want to hold you and all that. And I was so angry that people was holding me, I just wanted to fight, you know what I mean? Just get off of me, period. I don't want you to, I just need to get to him, you know what I mean? And I was just trying to find a way to sneak through, break through, and just get down there where he was, so I could just hold him. I just felt like if I held him, like when your mom holds you, everything is all right. I saw his mother, the girl he was gonna marry, and she was screaming and hollering, and then I saw my grandson's, the oldest grandson's mom, and she was screaming and hollering. Everybody was screaming and hollering, and he was just laying there, and I was thinking, why he got to still be on the ground? Because it was cold. It was in December, and he had just came from school. He was in college, Brown Mackey, and it was so crazy about this stupid stuff. We were just talking about that, and my son was walking away, and he was set up, these school childhood friends. He was trying to, when I really found out what this story was about, it was really stupid. You know what I mean? He had tried to help some girl in the club. She was so drunk and everything. And because he knew this girl, because she was dated his friends that he hung with, trying to look out for the sister. You know what I mean? Like, girl, nah, come on, go with me. Because some other guys was trying to hit on her. And he knew these guys, that they were kind of, treacherous. And because of his friendship with the guy, he was trying to look out for the girl. Well, of course, these guys told the guys that, oh, he was trying to hit because they couldn't have her. You know what I mean? So this is how this thing happened. And now, my son was a friend of you, but you was no friend to him. They called my son from school. This is how the setup went. Called him from school. He was over at Brown Mackey over there in Norwood. And he was so upset because a friend of his just had killed himself and his girlfriend. And my son was just messed up about that, you know. And so that's how they got him off guard, because he was so through, like, man, I'm going to have to help bury my friend. He had that type of heart, my son did. And they called him like, man, come help me, because, you know, so-and-so trying to get me and this and this and that. So at the scene where they had the little altercation, and my son was like, I don't need no gun for you. And he was turning to walk away. But the guy was just on some angry, or he just had it in his mind that I'm gonna kill you. And now I get up there, you know, took my son's life, and I'm angry, I'm really mad. I can't do nothing about it. It's just one thing in my life that, you know, as a mother, you always there to fix stuff. You know what I mean? You can talk to him, you get your knee, let's put some Bactine on it. You know what I mean? She ain't acting right, well, you got a couple of choices. Leave her alone. You know what I mean? Pay your child support, whatever. You know what I mean? You know, and I was watching him grow into his manhood and become a father. He was a great dad, and he loved his boys. I can't even teach him the things that he could have taught them. You know what I'm saying? And that's what hurt me the most. And that's what I miss about him.
We got to put them down. We talked about the guns. No need to fire rounds. We got to put them down. No more subliminal messages. Put the guns down. We got to put them down. You already proved your point. We know you ain't afraid now. It's time to put them down. Put them down. Put them down. Put the guns down. Throw the heat away. The pipe is red hot. Barrel still smoking from the last shot. We heard a loud pop, and the show stopped. Panic ensued, and they blamed it all on hip-hop.
They blamed it all on hip-hop?
They blamed it all on hip-hop?
They blamed it all on hip-hop?
Man, they blamed it all on hip-hop. What? Hip-hop brought us all together. Outside chillin' in the sunny weather. Having a good time, listen to good rhymes. Why you gotta come and ruin the good times? No longer are we being silent. Together, we letting you know it's time to stop the violence. Yeah. So quick to pick up a gun. The real question is, where did you get the gun from?
My name is Uriah Ware, Cincinnati, Woodlawn, Lincoln Heights. Well, the night when my son was murdered, I actually was home. It was about 11:50 at night, January 22nd, 2011, and a whole lot of people was calling my phone, but I wasn't answering. I just didn't feel like being bothered. And then my niece called me. Actually, my niece called my brother, her father, and told him that Uriah had been shot. So he came downstairs in the basement and told me that they said Uriah, my son, was at a party and he'd been shot, and he dead. He was dead. So it was just an initial shock at first, but when you hear things like that, you normally don't want to seem like it's, you know, that it's true, or don't want to think it's true or whatever. So I rushed to the crime scene, and it was confirmed, and that's when my world was over. Well, afterwards, I found out the reason why him and his two best friends that went to the party. And the party was about to be over with. My son Uriah was talking to a girl, and his two best friends was off somewhere else. I guess they had got into it with someone else. So his two best friends were shooting at the person that they got into it with, and his two best friends shot my son by accident. So it's hard for me because his two best friends, you know, I knew the guys for a long time. I knew their family. It's all bad for everybody, you know, because they locked up, in which they should be. It's just all bad for everybody. So I just really have a lot of mixed emotions right now. I mean, their parents took it pretty bad.
because they also knew my son. They used to spend the night over each other's houses, and I knew the parents for years. We all from the same community. It was just bad for everybody, and they were sincere and they were sorry, and just a loss for everybody. Well, overall, after everything is said and done, it's still a loss to us as a family. It was my only son. I have 2 other kids, they little girls, 11 and 3. He was 17. It was my son, named after me, and me and my family was like, we're still taking it hard, but it's just a process. It's something that you can't prepare for. So I really don't know how to be. I just know I feel bad. I know I think about him a lot. I don't really talk about him a lot because it's gonna remind me of what I don't have. And I already think about him a lot. So to me, just to be talking about it is like a double whammy, for myself. But our family, we still devastated because it's a whole lot of what if this, he could have been this, he could have been that. There's a whole lot of stuff that's not answered. So it's tough. Support been outstanding, actually. I've been having a lot of support. I know a lot of people, and a lot of people know I'm a good guy. I don't be bothering nobody or nothing, and the support been really good. That's one thing that helped me out, because I was down when it happened. I was down 3 or 4 months. I didn't want to do anything. I barely wanted to eat, let alone anything else. But with the support of my family and friends, just telling me that I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna just be strong as I can, and have to be strong for my other kids, and made me look at things a little differently, and at least gave me the strength to want to get up and get out and get something, or continue what I was doing before. So support was good. According to what my son's friends was telling me, they was unaware that they had shot him. They was shooting at someone else for some odd reason, and hit my son. And police was telling me like it was like a quarterback throwing to a wide receiver and then just not seeing the safety right there when when it seemed like an obvious interception to the people that's watching, but the quarterback's locked into a receiver. Sometimes they really don't see somebody right there, and that's how they explained it to me. So that's how I had to take it. With kids with guns these days, actually, I knew it was a problem, but I just thought maybe if I stay away from it or try to tell my kids to stay away from it, it really wouldn't affect us, and maybe it would die down. But now that it affected me at home, it's a big problem. It's just kids these days, they just, I don't know if they don't care or just don't really realize, the pain that they causing, people and friends and family when they do, do something wrong, and it's just devastating. But so many kids these days are just not caring. I don't know if it's the rap videos or movies, or I don't know what it is, but it just seems like they don't care about life, and they just more quick to end the life, and it's really sad, for real. First of all, I tell a kid, for every action, it's a consequence. The kids don't really think about the future. They thinking about now, and they thinking about living for now, thinking about proving something for somebody else. I already know what it is. They want to seem hard or seem cool in front of other people. But once they make a mistake, and once they realize the rest of their life gonna be gone, they tend to think differently. But the kids these days don't think before they react. They just react just to prove a point. So the first thing I tell a kid was to think about what you're doing and think about the consequences that you will face. And luckily my kids, assailants, got caught, within a quick amount of time, and that brought a little satisfaction to me as well. But kids really need to think first before they react. It was 3 people involved. My son, 2 best friends, and the other person that they were shooting at. They all was charged with murder because of their behavior, it caused someone to die. So they was charged with murder. And police asked me, called me down there and asked me, what do I think should happen? And I mean, the only thing I thought about is what my son would want to happen, and he would want his friends to spend the rest of their life in jail over an accident. And so I took that into account. I told him, give him involuntary manslaughter, because, like I said, I know the kids. I've been knowing them for a very long time. Good kids to me, respecting me, and we had a good relationship. And it really was an accident. And so I don't want them to do the time as far as an actual murderer would get. I want a murderer to get the rest of his life in jail. For something they did, that's what it's called, involuntary manslaughter, accident. So they offered him 10 years, and one kid took it and already serving his time, but the other two trying to fight it. And so either they're gonna get the 10 years or the 18 to life, which is murder. And so they still trying to fight it. They actually go to court next month in November. So, but they're gonna do some time and make sure of it. Ain't nobody just gonna run away free, and I'm just the only one gonna take a loss, because I actually thought about doing a lot of things. You do something to mine, you take something from me. I really don't have nothing to live for, and I thought about doing a lot of things. And but of course, it was just thoughts. Once I calmed down, I don't want to do the same thing that other people did. I mean, I want people to stop doing a whole lot of bull crap. So, but you're gonna have them thoughts. It's nothing that you can prepare for. Emotions take over. But once you sit down and be rational, you just let it play out, and it's gonna play out. It's just hard. I just would never think that I would have to go through this. I would never think, I watch 48 Hours all the time. I watch it. I just never think it would hit home. But once it do, you have a whole outlook on life is totally different. You start to really realize and understand that tomorrow's not promised. And you really, that's what I do. I spend as much time with my kids as possible now. Because all I have is them. If I didn't have any more kids, I probably would have done something real crazy, because I have nothing else to live for. I mean, listen, that's how I felt. But I got kids, I got my family, and I'm just gonna try to stay strong. And if I can help somebody else out, not to be in the situation, I would definitely do that, because I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.
I'm excited to be here. Certainly, like many large urban cities, having spent a lot of time in Los Angeles and the level of violence, I'm about the business of stopping the violence, stopping the killing. It's happening in a couple of areas here in Cincinnati. Our young people are being murdered, and we have got to do something about that. And so we're getting ready to launch a boot camp here, something I started in Los Angeles in a middle school. We're going to do it here in the Over the Rhine area. Very excited about that opportunity. It has to be about the ability to get in with these young people, show love to them, intervene, develop mentor-type relationships, teach them to make better choices. That's what it's all about.
Salam. I'm from Avondale. Grew up, born and raised. Been there the whole time. Just a personal incident, a personal story out of my life where, things just happened to go a little bit, way different than planned. It was basically just a trip, a guy trip. We took down to Louisville for Derby weekend. This is 2001. We came to a certain spot, and there was a big, one of the old school cars somebody had actually, fixed back up. And as I'm walking, the driver bumps me with his car. Initially, I was going to confront the driver. My friends with me said, no, we got other things going on. Come on. By this time it's dark. We had been down there all day. And they said, nah, man, let's let it go, let's not worry about it. Okay. So we were, and one of my other boys told me, we went out to the sidewalk. He said, hey, man, what's going on over there? So we look back over there, and the driver is now standing in the door of his car. He stopped it, and he's calling his friends over, you know. So me being hothead, a little bit of a hothead, I went over. I said, "Hey man, what's going on? You know, you call these people over here for me, you know." He never really said nothing was the funny part. You know, he kind of just stood there and looked, and my friends came over, his friends came over, and everything just went crazy from there. You know, everybody's fighting at this point. You know, it was, I don't know how many people he had there, but there were 5 or 6 of us. You know, he had at least 4 or 5 himself. So I mean, it was just a big brawl basically. He was in the door of his car. So like if you open your car door on the driver's side, and he was backed into the corner, you know, so basically between the door and the car. And from behind me, I knew somebody was behind me. I knew something was going on behind me, and so all of a sudden I heard shots. You know, I'm like, well, and my immediate thought was, man, they're close, because it was really loud. I was like, okay, wherever they're coming from, they're right here. You know, so, you know, my first instinct was to put him between me and this sound. You know, so I kind of grabbed him out of the corner and put him where the shots are coming from. After I done that, I went to run out of the, you know, away from where the car was, because like I said, these shots are close. They're right here. I gotta get out of here. You know, I don't even know where they're coming from. They're coming from behind me. So as I went to run around the car, I put weight on my left leg, and I fell. And I'm on the ground confused at this point, because I'm like, okay, how did I get down here? And I look down and I could see blood running from, you know, where my thigh area, my hip area. I'm like, now I knew I was hit. I didn't know before that. I made the decision. I said, you know what? I gotta get it out away from here. I said, because if this dude comes from wherever he's coming from, I can't even get up at this point. So I look up. I'm in the middle of the street, back bumper of the car. I look up, I see a parking lot. And the funny part is, weird part is that when I looked up, I didn't see anybody. This street, before all this started, was packed with people from sidewalk to sidewalk for blocks. I didn't see anybody. So it looked like it was a ghost town to me. So I pulled myself into the parking lot on the ground. I just pulled myself with my arms, because like I said, I couldn't get up. And I pulled myself in between 2 parked cars. And I said, okay, well, at least I got some kind of cover, you know, from what's going on if I'm in between these cars. And I laid there. I was laying on my right side, left leg on top of my right. And I don't know how long I was laying there, but I remember thinking, the ambulance is not going to be able to get here. You know, just because of how the traffic was, how the streets were packed, I said, I might bleed to death. One of the guys that came down, I look up, I see him, and I told him, I said, hey, don't go nowhere. You know, I said, look over these cars, look around, you know, because like I said, I'm stuck on the ground. I said, look around and make sure nobody else is coming, you know. So he looked around and said, nah, nobody's coming, you know what I'm saying? It's cool. I said, all right, well, just stay there, you know, don't go nowhere and keep looking, you know. I remember as I'm laying there, I'm thinking, like I said, man, I said, and I'm getting sleepy. So I knew what that meant. I knew I was losing a lot of blood. I was like, man, I consciously told myself, stay awake, you know, stay awake until the ambulance gets here. You know, you gotta do that, you know, if you don't do nothing else. So by this time, the police got there, the ambulance got there, and they started putting yellow tape across the 2 parked cars I was in between. They put yellow tape in there. Now the people I came with are basically fighting the police, trying to get to me, because they thinking like, oh God, yellow tape, you know, what's going on, you know. the paramedics came, cut my pants, whatever. And now, the what I remember out of all the pain of it, because at this point it never hurt. You know, I wasn't hurt this whole. I mean, I didn't feel pain the whole time. I guess because of the adrenaline. I was in a fight. I didn't feel any pain at all. You know, I was fine as long as I laid like I was. Well, when they put that board under me, they put it under me and then rolled me over onto the board. That was pain. You know, and I realize now why it hurt so bad, because it broke my bone. It broke my femur on the way through. You know, so, and it was a .45 caliber gun. I still actually have a piece of the bullet, a piece of one of the bullets, right lodged in front of right above my groin area. You know, and I purposely did not get it taken out. You know, I left it there as a reminder, you know, to, you know, think things through a little differently. And you know, and sometimes it doesn't hurt, you know, on the regular, but sometimes if my belt sits the wrong way, you know, or, you know, I got a certain, it just catches at a certain angle, sometimes I feel it, and that's my reminder. You know, I do have a rod in my leg, titanium rod. They put 4 screws in to get the bone to heal back together. I could get that taken out. I'm not. You know, it's not bothering me. After effect wise, my leg does feel like it's asleep. You know, so if I touch my leg, you know, it feels like when you're, like if your arm or your leg falls asleep, that's what it feels like. And then, like, you know, you see your friends, and, you know, my friends came by, and my girl at the time came by, and you know, my son's mom, and, you know, we're still together now. And she just, you know, just to see her and my mom's reaction to everything kind of changed it for me. Like, man, you need to take this a little bit more seriously, you know. And then I got 2 kids, and, you know, you want to be here for them, you know. And like I said, it was something that really changed the course of how it's going, you know.
Yeah, talk to me. What? Who got shot?
It's so rough, so tough, out in the streets. So much hustling, scuffling, just to eat. Nobody won't spread love, shed blood, busting off flesh love. When will we have love? Can't nobody change this mess but us.
Streets are so real, too many of us getting killed. Yo, will it ever stop? Man, I pray like hell that it will, so we can build for the future before it's too late. But you gotta have faith and learn from your mistakes so it won't happen again. Before you end up locked down doing a long bid. Now you a grown man, provide for your kids, cause they didn't ask to be here. And this is what it is when you get caught up and lose focus. Straight up, you tripping, must be that shit you're smoking. You hoping that it changed, but it don't. You hoping I explain, but I won't. These streets is full of pain, and that's real talk. I can't believe it. Another homicide, and nobody knows who did it. People, we need to quit it. To all my generations that stop all the killing, cause parents ain't supposed to be burying their own children. Crazy.
So rough, so tough, out in the streets. So much hustling, scuffling, just to eat. Nobody won't spread love, shed blood.
I'm Dominique. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm here to talk about my brother who killed my mom's ex-boyfriend, who once abused my mom. It was 6 years ago. My brother was coming in the house, and I was sitting in the living room, and he like rushed in, telling me that when he comes back, like we were gonna watch the movie Click. He went in my mom's room and left right back out. My mom came home, and I think like maybe an hour later or so, I think I was in my room, and my brother came in the house. think my mom pulled my brother outside in the hallway, and they were arguing back and forth. I was at the door listening, and my brother was just like, I did it. I had to do it. I had to do it for you, Ma. And my mom just kept asking him, what did he do? And he told my mom he killed Cola, killed my mom's ex-boyfriend. And my mom, I think, rushed in the house and called the police. Me and my brother sat in my brother's room, laying on the floor, until the police came. It still affects me today, because me and my brother was really close. And I'm not used to not having my brother. I felt like if my brother was here or out, a lot of stuff would be different with me and my family. Something I would say to my brother is, like, I'm not mad, nobody's mad. Because honestly, if you hadn't did it, I don't know if my mom would be here. To the other family, me and my brother, we loved Cola. But for him to put his hands on my mom.
My name is Michelle Winfrey, and I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm here today to talk about my son, who at the age of 16 killed my ex-boyfriend, who was abusive towards me. On November the 26th, I had told my son about Cola coming over and jumping on me that Friday before, which me and Cola, we were not together, but he was seeing someone, and he came by the house and saw that I had company. He jumped on me and pulled out a patch of my hair. And at that time, I didn't call the police, but I did ask him to just go and stay away. Do not contact my son, because him and Deontay continued to have a relationship even though me and Cola were no longer together. So I told Deontay that Sunday, which was the 26th, what happened. I was getting ready for my work day the next day, which was Monday. When I told my son what happened, he curled up in my bed like a little kid and watched me get ready as I did my hair. He didn't say a word. He just laid there balled up. Once I was done, he got up and asked me, could he go to the car to get something out the car, and I allowed him to do so. Deontay called me later on after school asking if he could go to Forest Park, and I told Deontay he could, but he would have to get a ride home because I wasn't going to do it. Deontay called me at 8, it was like 8 something, asking me if I could come get him, because the person who was supposed to bring him home wouldn't. My son did not make it in until after 10, I believe. He came in, he let me know he was there, but then he left right back out, and I couldn't understand why. So I got up out my bed, and I went out to the hallway, and I stopped him before he could come in the door, and I asked him where he been. Why did you get in so late? And he was just saying that he tried to get home. Him and Tracy had to go back to his house or whatever. And I looked at his neck, which I thought was a passion mark. And I said, so you disrespecting my rules because you was up under some little young nasty girl? That's what I said to him. And as I looked closer, I noticed it was not a passion mark, it was blood. Deontay then went around me and fell up against the wall and said, Mama, I did it. I'm like, what did you do? He said, Mama, I killed Cola. I'm like, no, you didn't. I said, D, no, you didn't. He said, Mama, he hurt you. I said, D, you did not. I did not believe my son. I just didn't think he would do that. I know my son loved me, but I refused to believe it. So I went back in the house. First, I called Cola's phone. He did not answer. Then I called his girlfriend, who told me that he was there. And I'm trying to get her. I said, please let me speak to Cola. She said, no. Why? I just need to know that he's there. My son is in the background saying there's no way. He ain't there. Still not believing my son. I called the police. I called the police, one, because I didn't want my son to be hunted down like some wild animal or to be shot. And then I also called him to find out if it was true. My son was in the room with my daughter holding her, just telling her he loved her. And she was crying. And all I could do was just yell and say, no, not Cola. You didn't do that. And it wasn't because I loved Cola more or whatnot, but one, Deontay loved this man. This is the man he called Pops. Up until the day everything took place, he was Pops to Deontay. My son just sat there until they got there. They had us come outside, both of us, with our hands up. My son walked with no problem. They took him. They would not allow me to sit with my son or talk with my son during that time. During the whole time, I still could not believe my son did it. I understood. And some people today think I was wrong for calling the police on my son. But I've always told my children that I would back them up no matter what. But he was wrong. I understand why he did it. But I knew he had to face it. You know, before everything took place, Cola's family really loved Deontay. They adored him. They thought, you know, I may have had some issues because Cola was 10 years younger. And, you know, we both had our issues. But we were always doing things with him and his family. So once everything took place, our relationship, everything has changed. As far as me and Deontay, as far as we're concerned, Deontay is sorry. He wants to speak with the family because, you know, he did what he did and he justifies what he did, but he is sorry. As far as the Cola's family, I'm sure they're still bitter, hurt because they lost their brother, and they lost their brother to someone who said they loved him.
Hey yo, stop the violence. I'm not for silence. Like all I be hearing is shots and sirens. Cops retiring and constant firing. Can't get a job, I got robbed for hiring. But my luck, just the pride of the environment. The right to bear arms is a form of requirement. And tied to tears is a form of perspirement. And dead by 30 is an early retirement.
Yeah, I'm sick of hearses. I'm sick of having to deal with nurses. So I'm spitting verses about life and death cause I'm sick of churches. I'm sick of caskets. I'm sick of baskets that's full of flowers. I'm sick of passes that's taken for granted every hour. I'm sick of wakes and I'm sick of waiting for death. I'm sick of making excuses for myself to accept it all. Please increase the peace. Man, all these senses slaying. Pay attention when I'm spitting. It's Vincent Vega.
Stop the violence, too many moments of silence. We playing David trying to destroy Goliath. AKA the devil on each and every level. Every day we settle in Willie Lynch's ghetto. Divide and conquer, take on the image of monsters. Call ourselves goons. drive around with choppers. Gotta get back to the love, man, can't nothing stop us. But ourselves, not even jail, all them coppers.
Demons in your head drive you crazy. Out here selling, swelling, giving, living life shady. Reppin' F you pay me, the drama that a day brings. Forget the frivolous, you hearing this. Nothing's insecure and it's a time to rally up. Break the chains that's been tied to us. We rely on us, now we die because of us. No time for the mind and the grind to break free. Confined is the mind and the rhyme. You can't make her take me.
This what it come to, this what you wanna do. Put the ill karma out till it come to confront you. I might die for some things, but it won't be a something like lying to myself that I run things. The dark side only got one king, and you ain't him no matter what you thinking. Don't believe me? Show me your thumb while your dome still leaking.
Show me your thumb while your dome still leaking.
The cake and the cream is your motivation. You think you the star of the show, but what you really don't know, your self-esteem's at an all-time low. Put your heaters down, be cool and chill in the AC now. Stop the violence, people, stop the violence.
We are one mind, connecting all people. Teach the young soldiers, the hood need heroes. Changing up the scene, we got enough villains. Robbing, stealing, extorting, killing. This generation has to raise up the conscience. Protect the innocent, the honest and modest. So I don't wanna say stop the violence, but I will say stop murdering over nonsense. Wars overseas, gang banging in our streets. We under siege, it's time for some peace. We plant the seeds, but we kill the bush before they trees. Wanna see my boy become a man, I'm begging please. The violence is affecting us, not protecting us. The biggest form of disrespecting us and neglecting us. And you blame it on the music, well then play this. And see how many kids is gonna say this. Black people, stop the violence. White people, stop the violence. Brown people, stop the violence. Yellow people, stop the violence. Red people, stop the violence. All people, stop the violence. My people, stop the violence. Real people, stop the violence.
Your name, and we know the message will resonate. We drop a cut with all love, try to sever hate. Hey yo, we never hate, teach them how to educate. School them on a hard knock life and pray they graduate. Ain't nothing cool about the streets but a body temp. Your soul levitates, it gets heavy, no featherweight. Let us pray for a better day. Stop the violence for heaven's sake.
You know silence is worse than the violence itself. Hands that build a kingdom so deceiving and misleading. Fame is striking the land, tragedy again. Money, power, and gold, idols won't save his soul. The problems, the pain, the solutions, the healing. Only the good done for your people will help them grow.
Collectively, we gotta make it all right, cause things be going all wrong. Both genders, all tones, buried like a dog bone. All off this thing called violence, and it ain't a rarity to hear gunshots and sirens. Why take for a crook to get back, pick up a book? Now he reading from sun up to sundown. On the outside, this man couldn't put his gun down. Should've thought about it before he let off that one round.
For too long, it's overdue in time we speak. Instead of ourselves, it's time we make the violence cease. Let's all dead it, forget it, move on and keep treading. Negativity shedding, live straight and level-headed. It's time we make the gun stop. Let's get our youth to practice they jump shot instead of a gunshot. I'm speaking to y'all, I ain't trying to lecture you, it's relevant and it's evident. Manifesto.
They say we're too small to take down the giant, but this here's the slingshot that struck down Goliath. The old days are gone, it's time for a new approach. Black on black crimes are set up, they don't need a rope. UDF carries blunts and wine, but refuses to sell condoms, they're a part of the crime. Injustice is amongst us, it's time that we rise. Put your index and middle fingers up in the sky.
All I see is people decreasing with a ton of senseless acts, so I rhyme for a reason. Every day another family is grieving. We need to bond together, be our community's beacon. Not for a day or for a season, but for a lifetime, because this violence only weakens the neighborhood, so we need to put a peace in. Try to reverse the ugliness of what a peace ends.
Day there's a story about arms firing. The news on the news ain't too admiring. Find yourself in something more inspiring. Violence ain't the answer, just the cancer to society. Gotta make a way, it's time to be role models. Cause what you do, the next generation follows. Use your brain, I know you're scolding.
control ain't that hollow. Play a clean league and watch the people follow.
And if you choking on your pride, then you need to swallow. It's time to aim for the point, and I ain't talking hollow. Let's take the fingers off the trigger, throw the guns in the river, for they can't hardly find you like Waldo. Just listen to the song, yo. Revolutionary movement going bozo. With this neighborhood and that neighborhood, if we all work together, we can save the hood.
Stop the violence.